Now we're going to remove this massive board. It's called bottom PCB, but it houses a lot of your outputs, your direct tape outputs, your line out, your monitor outputs, the input for your punch in and punch out, the power input, and the noise reduction or synchronization feature. So this area here is concerned with filtering the AC and turning it into various kinds of DC electricity that are needed for the active components all over the system. You can see that this area is organized into 4 strips that correspond to the record and playback amplifier for the 4 channels. And there's little variable resistors here and there which are labeled on the circuit board: record level, playback level, record EQ, and so on. And so it would be by adjusting these that you would compensate for low levels going to tape, high levels coming back from tape, etc, etc. This board is held in place by 2 tabs at the front here, and then this large metal heatsink, it has 1 screw in it, and there's a further 1, 2, 3 screws at the back. You can see all the screws are of this plastic or wood type, but the one that was going through the heatsink is slightly longer. So we open this by pulling these tabs back and lifting the front of the board. It allows us to tip it so that we don't disturb these various input sockets at the back. Make sure that that power socket is plugged in or that will get caught. One of the common reasons you would remove this is because sometimes these will get sold with 1 or more of these sockets at the back not working. People will find that the line out doesn't work or that the power is not getting in even though they have the PSU. And that's just because these are all circuit mounted, so these are quite susceptible to there being solder breaks. You'd find there was like physical space if you pressed on the component between the solder and the tab around it. Quite easy to repair, but it requires a bit of disassembly. I'll have a look at that mixer, try and figure out what's wrong with it finally, and give it a good clean. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to clean a mixer of a Tascam Portastudio, though the same principle will apply for any kind of circuit board and audio gear. And boy oh boy does this board need it. That is the pan switch for channel 5, which seemed to work fine when I was testing it. It didn't even sound particularly dirty, which is a wonder really, because look at the accumulated crud on that. However, channel 2 was the one that we had a problem with. I traced that and this was the area where was the last point where we were getting any kind of signal. So turning over, we can see that that's the mid sweep for channel 2. The signal is getting as far as there, but not as far as the mid level. Despite having quite a close inspection of this, I can't actually see any physical break. What I'm going to assume is just that it's really dirty, that dirt has maybe got into that mid control to an extent that it's acting as an insulator, and so the signal isn't getting any further than that. So I'm going to work on the hope that once we clean this, it's going to work again. And I'll do another signal trace before I reattach it to the case to find out whether that's true or not once the cleaning's been done. For me, the process of cleaning something like a mixer is in 4 steps. I'll take something like a isopropyl wipe and get some of the superficial crud off. Then I'll use some kind of contact cleaner. Here I'm using servisol 10, but I've used products by other manufacturers before with success. Once the contact cleaner has had a chance to settle, then I'll blow it out with compressed air. You can of course use a can, but because I go through so many of them and that gets expensive, I've got this electric air pump. I think really it's designed for camping beds and all this kind of stuff, but I cut the end off it and then we can use it quite successfully. I let that dry a little bit, and if there's still some excess contact cleaner on the board, then I'll wipe at it with paper towel. Some of these areas where it's difficult to get at, then I might use a foam Q-tip, not a cotton one. I don't want to leave cotton fibres on here. You may not realise this at home, but I just performed a rudimentary form of time travel. I'm coming to you from the future, a future where I forgot to tell you some of the points about cleaning this, and I have a message for you from that future. This is the kind of Q-tip that I was talking about with foam. They are listed as being for cleaning printers, but actually it's very good for getting into nooks and crannies on a circuit board. My other message from the future is that you can wrap one of these little isopropyl rags around a toothpick and get that right deep down inside the recess of these faders. My final message from the future is that there's still no resolution on Brexit. That is a rubbish topical joke which will age incredibly badly and be irrelevant to anyone who isn't watching from Britain anyway. And now back to the past. And then finally I'll use some kind of conductive lubricant. This is caig deoxit F100L. It's a fader lube, but I've actually found that it works fine for pots and all this kind of stuff. They do have specific products for all those purposes, but they're quite expensive. This was about £25 for this bottle. Caig, if you're watching, you want to sponsor me, I'll happily use all your products, but as it is, mate, I'm only going to use this. Sorry, Caig. And exercise the control. Make sure that lubricant's spread out along the contacts inside. I use the same procedure for pots and for switches. I'm going to remove these plastic caps first. And with this board, I'm going to pay particular attention to channel 2 because it had a fault, and to this one just because it looks awful. Now please enjoy this time lapse. The mixer has been cleaned now. I was hoping that process was going to bring channel 2 back to life, but no joy. So the next thing I'm going to have to do is get some spare parts from this board. It's from a dead Mark III that I have kicking around. You can see that I've already started to salvage, sorry for the glare, some faders from it. I tend to kind of write on these with Sharpie what's wrong with them and so on, so I know what I can and can't remove from here. Having looked at the point where the signal's cutting out on this mostly working board, it seems to correspond to this integrated circuit here. I know that that's going to be something to do with amplifying the center frequency for the mid-range. I tend to think of, in a circuit, things like potentiometers, integrated circuits, and so on, like the main cast in a film, and then all your little resistors and capacitors. They're like, you know, the best boy, the grip, personal assistants to Mr. Brad Pitt. I work on the assumption that unless I can physically see something broken or burnt or whatever, that it's one of these components that is dead. I mean, here you've got moving parts. That chip there is my most likely culprit. I will probably replace those two just to be sure. And if you haven't watched the earlier videos, the reason I sound so ignorant about this, I would be able to give you more information if I had schematics for this model. I don't. And hey, if there's anyone watching who has a copy of the service manual, like scans or a PDF version, please get in touch. I really would like to get hold of that manual. I've been looking for it on eBay for ages and just can't get hold of it. Sorry, qualifier to that request, I do not need the user manual. The user manual is very easy to get hold of. Specifically, it's the service manual and the schematics that I would be interested in getting hold of. Thank you.